Have you ever prayed but never got an answer, and wondered if God was really there? Did you feel all hope was gone, but in His time He came along and answered the prayer you thought was gone? There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. I have read, if you will ask, you shall receive. No matter what it is, I still believe. There is no prayer too small, and even when we fall, He gives us just exactly what we need. There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. No prayer too small. He always knows what's right. God hears them all. There is no prayer too small. My God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. No prayer too small. No prayer too small. God hears them all.
Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach and the host of the Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I'm going to share something with you, and let me be crystal clear to leave an everlasting impact upon you. Just imagine being buried alive. You're in the coffin, but you know you're not dead. You don't know how to get out of that coffin. You tried lifting the lid. The enormous weight of the dirt upon the lid prevents you to open that lid. You think you're going to die. But then you say, maybe if I bang on the lid, I'll unsettle some of the dirt, and maybe somebody on top might start digging their way down towards me to help me. This is what it's like to feel at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help. You know you can't do it on your own, but you don't know where to turn. In reality, there are people standing by your grave. You just don't know that. You just think you're going to die. Usually, though, people don't think about death when they're habitually abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind when you were abusing drugs and alcohol that maybe, just maybe, you might overdose and take something away that Jesus Christ gave you, called life, away from yourself? With this, let me leave one last note. Don't be like the person I just read about on these index cards that waited and waited and waited for help until it was too late. Instead, pick up the phone and call me at 844-405-HELP, and I promise you, I will help you take your life back before your life is gone. People like Larry Geist from the Geist Academy at 516-458-2741, people like that will help you take your life back also. You can either call him at 516-458-2741 or call me at 804-455-405, I should say, help. That's 844-405-HELP. Either one of us can help you, but Larry Geist has over 30 years experience as an addiction recovery coach, a life coach. He and I tell folks like you, doesn't matter where you've been, it doesn't matter where you came from. What matters is that you're here and you're looking for help. Pick up the phone and call him. We'll go online. Look for him at www.odysseyconsultant.org. Larry Geist from the Geist Academy. Folks, don't forget to take your slippers off before you go to bed tonight. And when you take them off, stick them under your bed. Not by the edge of your bed, but stick them under your bed. And while you stick them under your bed, in the morning when you wake up and God allows you to see the water streams and waterfalls again, get on your knees to get those slippers. And while you're on your knees, utilize a thing I call knee mail, K-N-E-E, mail. That's your personal chat line between you and God. While you're on your knees getting those slippers, thank God for another beautiful day, for the clothing, the home, and the husband and wife or children you might have, for food. Ask God for guidance and direction, forgiveness, and mercy. Thank God that you are healthy. These are the things you should be praying for each and every morning. And no better time to do it than when you retrieve those slippers. Knee mail, from your lips to God's ears every single morning. Now put those slippers on, stand straight up, roll your shoulders back, stick your chest out, and walk with God 24/7. Knee mail. That's knee mail, K-N-E-E mail. Your personal chat line with God. Alcoholism is a threefold disease, folks, and I want to talk about that today, okay? So let's jump right into it. And this is the AA view of alcoholism. Alcoholics Anonymous describes alcoholism as a threefold disease. What they mean by this is that they are dealing with a disease that has three components: mental, physical, and spiritual. Let's fix this up a little bit here. There we go. Spiritual. The alcoholic is viewed as dealing with a physical allergy to alcohol, a mental obsession to keep on drinking, and an underlying spiritual malady that means willpower is not enough. Unless these three aspects of the condition are treated, the individual will not be able to escape their addiction. Three aspects of alcoholism. Individuals who are dealing with alcoholism will have plenty of problems in their life. It is to describe how their addiction impacts their life by dividing it into three types of damage. Alcoholism will damage people physically. Their health will tend to be poor. Even those who have been abusing alcohol for a short period of time may already be experiencing the early stages of alcohol liver disease. Alcohol is a dangerous toxin and can destroy almost every organ in your body. Alcoholism will damage people mentally. This type of substance abuse tends to have a devastating impact on mental health. It can cause people to develop mental health problems such as depression or even anxiety. Those individuals who turn to alcohol to self-medicate their existing mental health problems will find that their symptoms are exacerbated. Alcoholism will damage people spiritually. Talk of spirituality usually conquer of all religion, but there is much more to that. Even non-believers can be said to have spiritual needs in reference to those things that give the true meaning of the Word of God. This could include to believe in the God or just wonder at the miraculous universe. Addicts often describe how they feel as having a hole in their soul. This is because their spiritual needs are not being catered for because of their alcoholism disease. Alcoholism as a disease. Up until the early 20th century, it was commonly held that alcoholics were just bad people. They were abused alcohol because of moral failing. The view changed around 1940s, partly due to the success of Alcohol Anonymous. They promoted the idea that individual does not choose to become an alcoholic. Blaming an addict for their problem is the same as saying that cancer patient is responsible for their condition. The medical model of this disease is that it is an abnormal condition that causes suffering and distress. Alcoholism fits this criteria. It is a disease of the brain that is likely to have genetic component. This disease theory, or the disease theory of addiction, has won a great deal of support within the medical community. The disease of alcoholism is seen as both chronic and progressive. This means that it cannot really be cured, and an individual's condition will deteriorate over time. The only possible way to escape the downward spiral is to complete abstinence from alcohol, which is hard to do, but it's possible. I'm a perfect example. When the alcoholic manages to stop drinking, they can be considered as being in remission rather than cured. This is because drinking again has placed them back into the mindset of the old alcoholic that they were. The disease of alcohol is a mental obsession and a physical compulsion to keep on drinking. AA, otherwise known as Alcoholics Anonymous, promotes a spiritual cure that is best cure for alcoholism. Holistic approach to addiction. Prominence of holistic medicine believe treating any condition requires treating the whole organism. This differs from Western medicine, where the approach focuses on treating symptoms. Holistic medicine recognizes that people have physical, mental, and spiritual and social needs. If any of these needs are neglected, then the individual is not likely to be fully cured. A holistic approach to addiction involves more than just simply quitting substance abuse. This might be enough to improve physical health, but it is unlikely to be enough to build a good life away from alcohol and drugs. If the person's mental and physical needs are not centered for it, or catered for it, I should say, then they are likely to relapse back to their old addiction ways. Criticism of the threefold disease model, the view that alcoholism is a threefold disease, does not have the unanimous support of the medical community. Critics claim that it disempowers the individual by telling them that they have incurable condition. Groups such as Rational Recovery say that once people stop drinking, they are cured. Viewing themselves as being in remission reinforces the addict's identity. There is still some support for the idea that alcoholism is a choice, although not due to moral failings. In this case, telling such people that they have a disease turns them into victims with an excuse to continue their behavior. The belief that alcoholism requires a spiritual cure is also criticized. There are plenty of people who manage to escape their addiction without using spiritual programs such as the ones offered by Alcoholics Anonymous. So, just to be clear, Alcoholics Anonymous, I went to 4, and quite honestly, statistics prove that the first year, 5% succeed with AA, 95% failure. And I thought to myself, how is that possible? And I came up with the reason. After 4 meetings, what I found is that the people that have been going there a while sat at a separate area in the room, or maybe in the back, kind of hung on each other and talked to each other. And the new people would come in and sit right in the front, like myself. Nobody talking to me. The only words I got to say is, "Hi, my name is Ralph, I'm an alcoholic." And it only is an hour and a half a day. So I said to myself, the only way to beat this is to live, breathe, and do everything else 24/7. And that's when I started doing websites about alcoholism and drug addiction, and then finally the show a few years ago. And here I am, 1,350 videos later, not cured, not in remission, but I don't drink. Remission does sound almost like you're in remission of cancer. So I don't like that term. Cured, I'm definitely not. But I've learned to live in recovery, and I've learned to live a sober life. And you can have the same. Give me a call, 844-405-HELP, and I promise you I will help take your life back, and may God bless you.
Have you ever prayed but never got an answer, and wondered if God was really there? Did you feel all hope was gone, but in His time He came along and answered the prayer you thought was gone? There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. I have a ready few, will ask, you shall receive. No matter what it is, I still believe. There is no prayer too small, and even when we fall, He gives us just exactly what we need. There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. No prayer too small. He always knows what's right. God hears them all. There is no prayer too small. My God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember,